For nearly 2,000 years, humanity believed the story was complete. The red letters of the New Testament were treated as final, every word spoken, every teaching preserved, every truth recorded, or so we were told. But history has a way of whispering when we least expect it. Beneath the shifting sands of the Nile River Valley and among the volcanic stones of Galilee, archaeologists are uncovering something unsettling. Not temples, not weapons, but voices. Fragments of writings long excluded, texts buried, ignored, or deliberately forgotten. And they point to something extraordinary. Missing words, words spoken, but never recorded in the official canon. The discoveries began quietly. A fragment of papyrus here, a weathered inscription there, too damaged to draw headlines. Too controversial to announce immediately? But when scholars began comparing the texts, a pattern emerged. These weren't later inventions, they weren't medieval additions. The language, ink composition, and writing style matched the earliest Christian period, earlier than many gospel copies we rely on today. And the content was troubling. These passages didn't contradict familiar teachings, they expanded them. They emphasized inner transformation over external obedience, knowledge over ritual, understanding over authority. Some lines echoed ideas later labeled dangerous, ideas that placed responsibility not in institutions, but in the individual, which raises an uncomfortable question. If these words existed, why weren't they included? To understand that, historians point to the early centuries of Christianity, a time of debate, conflict, and consolidation, when beliefs varied widely, when different communities preserved different teachings, and when power began to shape doctrine. By the time councils like Council of Nicaea were convened, Christianity wasn't just faith, it was structure, hierarchy, authority. Texts that aligned with unity were preserved. Texts that encouraged independent interpretation were sidelined. Not destroyed in every case, but left behind, buried, hidden in desert caves, stored in monastery vaults. Written in languages later generations no longer read, now, those voices are returning. One fragment describes a teaching given privately not to crowds, but to followers capable of understanding it. Another references conversations never mentioned in the Gospels. Moments of instruction that suggest a far deeper philosophy than sermons alone. Scholars call this a shadow history, not because it is false, but because it was never allowed into the light. And that changes everything. Because if these words are authentic, then the story we inherited may not be wrong, just incomplete. So where are the missing words? Some are still buried. Some are locked away in private collections. Others sit untranslated, waiting for someone brave enough to question tradition. This isn't about attacking faith. It's about understanding how history is written. Who decides what is remembered and what is silenced? Because history doesn't only belong to those who lived it, it belongs to those who preserved it. And for the first time in centuries, that preservation is being questioned. If these discoveries make you uncomfortable, they're supposed to. Because the most dangerous truths aren't lies. They're the truths we were never allowed to hear. The question remains. If these were the missing words, what else are we still missing?